But I'm proud to see my brother. I just met him. I'm on my way to work. I'm proud to see my brother here doing this good work, man.
You as well, brother. Nice to meet you.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to Baaba TV, Every Time Fire.
Shout out to Baaba TV, Black Power.
Man, Baaba TV, man, it's lit. Man, y'all check it out right now on YouTube. Subscribe.
Baaba TV, Black Power.
Peace, greetings, welcome to another edition of Baaba TV Every Time Fire. Back out here in beloved Washington, D.C., where again my knowledge was made born. And it was made born by several people, and one of the main people that I drank from was this beloved elder of mine right here, Brother Tehuti Nebachua. And I'm always so thankful. You know, I just got the spirit to jump up and come down here because it's getting ready. I said, it's getting ready to get cold, and I haven't been down there at all lately. And you know, we're not getting any younger. And so I need to stay close by, let's say. And it's good to see you, brother, as always, sir. And I really don't know where to start with you. If you would like to just talk to the people, they haven't seen you on Baaba TV in a minute, go right ahead.
Yes, greetings, Baaba TV family. It's always good being back with Baaba Every Time Fire. As I've shared on other videos, I've known him since he was a young pup. And I am just so proud of him and how he's taken this technology and is utilizing it at a high level from where he started. You know, like I subscribe to Baaba TV, and as his videos are posted, I really enjoy and learn from the discussions that he has with the people he interviewed. Right now, I'm an old, how can I put it? I'm an old Rick James fan. And, you know, like with the documentary about Rick James' life appearing on Showtime, I enjoyed watching that. But I'm enjoying hearing from Rick's brother, Carmen, getting some background information on Rick's life and the things that he was about. I just watched a video where they were showing the home that Rick bought for his beloved mother. So Baaba has moved into a generation of what I call grassroots reporting, so that people across the world will get a chance to see the real life facts of what people in the community, what brothers in the hood are doing. You get a different perspective if you get interviewed by somebody from what I call the major media. But when you listen to Baaba TV, what you're actually getting is the heart and soul of people sharing information they want to share. And I think it's a good thing that he has an international audience that get a chance to see behind the scenes some of the everyday life events that's going on with us in the conscious community. And that's another term that I understand is up for some debate. What does conscious mean? Well, I'm old enough to remember when my generation started using it back in 1961 for those young students attending Howard University that decided to participate with the early group that eventually became known as SNCC. It was those students who got involved, who were part of standing up and confronting the racism and discrimination that was taking place in America at that time. We generally don't hear the term American apartheid, but I grew up in American apartheid. They just called it segregation during that time, but essentially it's the same thing. The high arrest in our community. I mean, it's almost like what I call the urban black communities in the late 50s and early 60s were very similar to what they did with the native peoples here. It was like reservations. And the police forces were patrolling our community and suppressing us, very harshly, very strictly. Within the last couple of years, thanks to the new technology, cell phones, and the like, today, the people are the reporters that are capturing police beating and, like brown and black people. But if there were technology like that available in the 60s, you would be surprised at the videos that would have been produced back in that day. So it's always good to talk to you. It's always good to be optimistic as I see society moving forward. Like it's not like it was back in the my day. Just like my grandmother used to tell me, well, things are tough now, but it wasn't as bad as it was back in her day during the Depression, like as such. Especially living in North Carolina, moving from North Carolina to the District of Columbia just before World War II. And then again, like raising her family here in the District of Columbia, moving from the South and what was part of what they call the Great Migration was done out of a sense of necessity back in those days. Today, today's generation seem to move out of a desire to just move and go someplace. But again, like 70 years ago, like 80 years ago, movement was being done out of necessity to get away from the real harsh aspects of American apartheid and move at least where life could be a little bit easier on these reservations called ghettos as such. I'm also, like seeing the effect. I don't think I've had a chance to talk to Baaba TV since the verdict of convicting one of the police officers who killed George Floyd. I'm really happy that the people got out in the streets all over America, aligning themselves with several movements, but the one called Black Lives Matter, I guess, got the biggest headlines. I was happy to see that because to some degree the Black Lives Matter movement was organized. My old friend and protege who I studied under, what I call my leader, coming out of the 60s was Brother Kwame Ture. Back in 1960, some of you know him as Stokely Carmichael. But one of his long-time sayings was, we have to be organized. Join something, be organized. Individuals can't fight this system. Poor people, black people, ethnic minorities, people have to be organized to fight the system. And I did see some elements of folks being organized. And again, using cell phones and what is this thing, Twitter, and these other kinds of social media technologies that's in use today brought a different type of organization, a different level of organization to people. And because of those organizations, a lot definitely was done in the name of bringing justice in Minneapolis for what happened to Brother George Floyd. As you know, we're getting a chance to see live and in living color the beginning of the trial for the murder of the brother in Georgia. You can see right away in a community that's 26% black, they have one black juror and 12 black jurors who were otherwise qualified got set aside, right, disqualified just because they were black. So here we are in Georgia again with another trial, and again 3 white men being charged with murdering a black man, And in a community that's 26% black, we have 1 black juror out of 12. So we see the odds being set up for possible acquittal of these 3 guys down there in Georgia. Even though the videotape and everything that the public has seen worldwide, they murdered this brother. And yet, you know, like somehow or the other, the attorneys are going to try to convince the jurors that the 3 white boys were defending themselves from this brother who was just out there loosely jogging through a community and ended up getting shot 3 times by this shotgun. So even though some things have changed, a lot of things remain the same. So for all young people with justice in your heart, again, keep up the struggle against oppression. There's another thing that I find quite interesting because it's a term that wasn't used during my youth or even young adult life, and that is this new term about racial strategies. As you know, like in here, talking about what happened in American history from the time that the European got here and started making settlements in 1607 up through the Civil War. That didn't happen. The white folks in the South are now saying slavery wasn't a big issue. They're saying that the Civil War wasn't fought to end slavery. The white folks were fighting just to maintain their right to organize and do in their states what they wanted to do. So it was a states' right war and not a civil war about the end of slavery. That's bullshit. All right? That's bullshit. Listen, black men have been organized fighting white oppression in first the English colonies as early as 1775. All right, black men organized in conjunction with some real conscious, forward-thinking white folks. The Underground Railroad that helped a whole lot of black folks escape from those plantations to an easier life in the North or freedom in Canada. So for today's white generation not to be able to really understand the negativity that's part of their nature, the nature of wanting to hold a man in slavery just because of the color of his skin or the culture that he came from, was absolutely asinine then, and for today's generations not to be able to address that, you know, like it's asinine on their part. In my personal opinion, America is moving. Will either move forward, or the strings of this democracy are really going to tear it apart. In another 20 years, I mean, the absolute population in the United States, as officially counted, white people will be in the minority. The ethnic minority is black, brown, red and yellow people, you know, what I call the humans, H-U-E-M-A-N. The human population will outnumber the non people of color population. So what are they going to do? Already the politicians have created all type of political strategies where, though they are in the minority, what they gerrymander the politics and what have you to try to ensure that they can remain in power for at least another 20 to 30 years. Their goal is if they can maintain power up through 2050, despite the population change, that they could roll back the tide, you know, like of the mistakes that their politicians made by, one, having an open immigration policy, and as people from around the world immigrate to America, what is true is that most of the people around the world are people of color. So the population in America is changing. The demographics have changed, and the young folk of the 21st century here in 2021 are different from those 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. They are getting involved and they are active. And what that means for the white population, who used to say when I was in school that America is a white man's country, and yet the population is not reflecting that America is a white man's country. And one reaction to that fact was not only the election of Donald Trump, but Donald Trump's led insurrection against the American government on January 6th. And that is, whites felt secure enough that they could come to their nation's capital armed, planting bombs in strategic places, and actually breaking and entering into the U.S. Capitol building. In my youth, during my residency here in the nation's capital, I've marched on the nation. I've marched on the Capitol building. I've marched on the White House. Like in those struggles, and the police forces never bent back and allowed like any type of overtaking of anything that we were marching against. But to see the United States government and its forces paralyzed by the strategies of Donald Trump and the people that he'd put in very specific places, in the Pentagon, at the Justice Department, and the police didn't come, the military didn't come, the National Guard didn't come to save like one of the most storied buildings in the nation's history. It's temple that they built or they erected for the purpose of democracy. And again, these forces allowed these what they're calling this white mob to come to the nation's capital and break into that building, jeopardizing the lives of the elected representatives that were there to count the ballots from the election. It's just wild. And for me, again, as a young man out of the 50s, most of the black men in my community, or that were struggling, trying to vote at that time, were Republicans, because the Republican Party that was created in the 1850s, all right, and what have you, really helped abolish slavery. They led the effort to create the Reconstruction governments that got black people up on their feet. And so from the early elections, in fact, here in the nation's capital, I think the first election was in 1868, where black folks openly ran and won seats. Men such as John F. Cook Jr., William Taliaferro, Francis L. Cardozo were the first black elected officials here in the nation's capital, all Republicans. And so to see the Republican Party transform from a progressive, forward-thinking group of politicians to this backward right-wing group of racist politicians, it's not that it's surprising, it's just seeing it take place is really a change that I've seen take place in my lifetime. But again, I'll go back again to my friend Kwame Ture. The only solution is a revolution. Like that America, like we see it's on the brink and whites are ready to fight a race war, but if the rest of us really want to survive and be the masters of our own ship and set the direction for the future, we too better be organized and ready to fight a revolution and to establish on this land base a revolutionary democratic government. Because right now, the fear of white folks, one, that black folks, if we get in power, we're going to get even with them for them having held us in slavery. Two, if we let the Native Americans vote and they get in power, that they're going to get even with the white folks for committing genocide against them and taking their land as such. I mean, that's what they don't understand is that our nature is to live and live in peace with people, like as human beings on this earth. Their nature is they want to be in charge and take over and run everything. And with those two natures in conflict, it's probably a fact that it cannot be resolved peacefully, no matter how much we've tried. The whole movement of Martin Luther King, what we call the Southern Christian Leadership Council, the Civil Rights Movement of the 60s, was peaceful, nonviolent demonstrations. This past summer, we buried one of the American heroes of that movement, Congressman John Lewis. And again, on the news and everything about the success, how far we have come without black folk having taken up arms to fight for, to absolutely outfight the racist groups like the Klan and these other white supremacist groups, but that through nonviolence, eventually enough white Americans' hearts changed where we made some progress to the point where we absolutely had blacks elected to the federal government, both as senators and congressmen, and by 2008, 2009, the historic elevation of Barack Obama to the presidency. That was one phase, but that phase further infuriated the fear of white Americans. And so again, they're using all type of strategies to ensure that they stay in political power. And though some younger people don't think politics is a way through the future, look up the word and understand what politics actually, what the words mean, not how they are being applied here in America as such. But if people are going to negotiate with each other and come to some agreement of what can take place in the public square, then that negotiation, that discussion amongst groups, that's what politics is. And I advocate for a more revolutionary style of politics, but politics is one of the paths that we cannot abandon. We must also look at that and use it as a tool that helps us, not just as black people in this country, but help all people move forward to build a society and elevate ourselves to what I call a human level, and not be continually caught in this quagmire of racism and racist politics.